Her costume links her to me. Why? What does she have planned? How far will she go?
Well, do be careful, sir. Remember, there are many species in which the female is deadlier than the male.
If I was gonna make a clickbaity, sensationalized YouTube video about Batman Mystery of the Batwoman, it would be titled something like DC's Most Forgotten Movie, or the Batman animated movie you don't remember, or something overly dramatic like that. No offense, Serum, like I legit did not see the title of your video when I wrote that. But really, that's not that far off. The DC animated universe has bestowed upon us 6 feature films set in its seminal continuity. Mask of the Phantasm is a cult classic masterpiece that's widely considered to be one of the best Batman films, period. Sub-Zero concluded Mr. Freeze's BTAS arc and was controversially attached to critically panned bat nipples. Return of the Joker reshaped the DCAU mythos and proved to us that Terry McGinnis was Batman. And the 2 most recent films, love 'em or hate 'em, reunited beloved cast and crew to return us to the animated universe after a years-long drought. Among its peers, Batman Mystery of the Batwoman just kinda happened. But, and hopefully you and I share this disease, whenever I'm trying to go completionist mode and consume the entirety of any franchise, I want to know when I'm supposed to pause the show and watch the accompanying motion pictures. When do I sidebar my Pokemon watch through to pop in the first movie? During what season breaks do I flip over to the My Hero Academia films? Do I watch The Sacred Star of Milos during or after Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? The story doesn't seem to line up anywhere during the show. Oh, it's non-canon? Well, fuck me! Mystery of the Batwoman, of all the DCAU films, has the least amount of obvious hints toward its placement in the timeline. It's been an Edward Nigma among every fan-made watch order since the dawn of fan-made watch orders. Is it a new Batman Adventures movie, or does it take place during Justice League, or do I even watch it at all? Well, the answer to that last one is yes, of course, it's Kevin Conroy Batman. You watch it, you definitely watch it. But today we're gonna figure out exactly when you should, during your obviously annual Batman the Animated Series binge.
You're the great detective. Figure it out.
So grab on tight to your definitely not Green Goblin gliders, because you must be at least this insane to ride this ride.
People have always called me Rocky for some reason.
The version of Batwoman we meet in this movie is never seen again elsewhere in the DCAU. She's not a Justice League member later, she doesn't pop up in a tie-in comic, nothing. She's so separated from the rest of the universe and so, well, mysterious that it's no wonder Batman had such a hard time figuring out who she was.
It was just a matter of disguising your voices and taking turns.
But what really sucks is this isn't just a work of fiction. It's happened to me and it can happen to you. Minus the superhero stuff, but still. No joke, I've had family members get phone calls from scammers using a fake voice designed to sound like me, who have succeeded in taking their money. It felt like something that could never happen, and I really wish I'd had a service like Incogni back then. Incogni reaches out to data brokers on your behalf, companies who sell and trade your personal data that, let's face it, is all over the internet whether you like it or not, and act swiftly and firmly to remove you from those lists. Like, imagine you're Batman, like you do every day, and unbeknownst to you, when you put your info into that one website that looked just a little shady, the entire Bat computer's data was leaked, and every criminal in the world knows you're Bruce Wayne now.
That would present a problem, wouldn't it?
Incogni hunts down all your compromised info across the internet. Your email, your home address, your phone number, your cousin's birthday, whatever factory you're ordering your batarangs from, and conducts repeated removal requests, and then keeps its metaphorical eyes open for new instances of your info online and does the same.
I know Bruce Wayne. He's Batman. I'm the King of England.
You can literally watch a counter of how many lists you're being removed from. Peace of mind that you and your loved ones are safe from these kinds of scams while you get back to living your life.
Why don't you go rob gift wrap or something?
An annual plan for Incogni is a whole 60% off if you use our code Watchtower at the link in the description, and I highly recommend you do so. This stuff isn't just comic book fantasy. You may think you're being super careful, but your private information could be just lying around like Penguin's filing cabinets. Batwoman can just walk in and start snapping photos. Batwoman represents data brokers in this metaphor, and Incogni is Penguin's umbrella gun. Get out of here, you! Get! Thanks so much to Incogni for partnering with us for this video, and now let's solve this timeline mystery, shall we?
Mustn't keep the lady waiting.
I remember exactly when Mystery of the Batwoman released. I was the most Batman-obsessed 12-year-old. I was walking through the video store. I did a double take because a cartoon Batman movie that I don't recognize? That's impossible. I'd missed any trailers. I'd never heard about this thing. I didn't even get the Pizza Hut toys. I wonder if my local Pizza Hut still has any. The building's been abandoned for years? After the success of the first few, Warner Brothers was looking to capitalize on yet another direct-to-video Batman animated feature, and knocked on the door of producer Alan Burnett to see if he had anything up his sleeve. Turns out both his sleeves were bursting at the cufflinks, for Burnett cooked up two possible Bat pitches. The first was a Paul Dini joint venture surrounding The Dark Knight going on Joint Ventures, a 3-part anthology where Batman would pair with other DC heroes before Justice League Unlimited was even a thing. Luckily, a version of this team-up movie would ultimately become an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold years later, because the other pitch was the one we got, Mystery of the Batwoman. An unknown flying bat lady appears in Gotham City and starts ruffling the feathers of the Penguin and his fellow penguin-suited cohorts. Nobody knows who she is, not even Batman, and he's really smart! But Alan Burnett had only 2 months to write it. He pulled in former BTAS writer Michael Reeves, and as the story goes, they didn't even know how it was going to end until they got there. They also had no help from their colleagues literally down the hall who were working simultaneously on the Justice League cartoon. Everybody there was too busy to lend a hand, so veteran director Kurt Gaeta was recruited, and the semi-ragtag WBA Goonies got to work. To make matters the same? I don't know, they were already having a pretty hard time. Batwoman hadn't ever been adapted into animation before. The only version of her that even existed at the time was from back in the 50s. Rather than going with this original look, with like a purse, Kurt Gaeta invented a new one. We wanted to tell a good, fun story. So there's lots of laughs, and there's music, and there's girls with size 2 waists, and they're all beautiful.
Kurt has a reputation for drawing sexy women in cartoons.
Calm down, son. It's just a drawing.
It's funny, the original press release didn't have Batwoman art yet, so they just darkened a Batgirl image and ironically accidentally invented the 2006 Batwoman look. Good going, whatever intern crammed this together. Because of the very I'm just over here doing my own thing energy that the movie gives off, many fans over the years have questioned how, and even if, Mystery of the Batwoman could fit into DCAU continuity. When questioned years ago, Burnett himself stated, "To the best of my recollection, Batman Mystery of the Batwoman is in complete continuity." At the same time, this movie suffers from, shall we call it, Brainiac Attack Syndrome, where it recast half its villains for seemingly no reason. Batwoman hot-swapped Henry Silva Bane for the Princess Diaries' own Hector Elizondo, as well as the original Penguin and Rainbow Connection songwriter Paul Williams being exchanged for David Ogden Stiers. You know, from Better Off Dead. Just doors away, Bruce Timm didn't agree with Mystery of the Batwoman's recastings, but trusted Alan, and admitted it wasn't his movie. I'm not actually in control of what's in continuity and what isn't, because there's been several other classic Batman animated movies, so technically they're canon, even though I didn't have anything to do with them. So yes, there is a point to watching this thing, if you can find it. After all, it wasn't included in the complete BTAS Blu-ray collection. You gotta go check at Goodwill or something. That sucks. For me, since I own it on every medium imaginable, rewatching it happened like a few days ago, and to be perfectly fair, it was the first time I'd seen the whole thing in years. And don't tell anyone I said this, but it's a lot better than I'd remembered. The music is unique and exciting, the voice work is great, and the animation is pretty damn fantastic most of the time. Sure, there's some stilted stuff every once in a while, but you can really feel the punches Batman lands and all the laser blasts and big booms and all that good stuff. This shit slaps as hard as the opening of Return of the Joker on many levels, and probably because it's got the same director. Yeah, Kurt Gaeta made both of these movies. Alan Burnett produced most of BTAS and wrote or plotted fan favorites like Two-Face, World's Finest, Rebirth. Michael Reeves wrote I Am the Night, A Bullet for Bullock, and even some of Mask of the Phantasm. The talent behind this film was stacked. It deserves to be recognized, talked about, not forgotten.
I don't know if I can be with someone who doesn't like
Batman, Mystery of the Batwoman.
It's just a stupid movie.
That's what I'm talking about.
Come on, it's where the smartest Batman goon ever scene comes from. That has over 8 million views. When do I get over 8 million views? So the real mystery becomes, when do you watch this? Where in the DC animated universe timeline does Batman Mystery of the Batwoman fall? And as much as I'd like to get creator help on this one, like usual, Alan Burnett is long retired, Kurt Gaeta has disappeared off the face of the earth, and Michael Reeves passed away in 2023. 3.
This is something I have to do alone.
We're looking to put a number on it, a year, a month, a day even. Then we can compare with the rest of our Watchtower databases and line things up. At first glance, there's a clear starting point. Batman, everybody is in their new Batman Adventures character designs. It's probably during that show, right? Sure, there's some minor visual updates, like Batman and Robin have more highlights than they used to, and Batman's belt is now seemingly bolted on pouches, but it's still 91.939% of the way there. Penguin got an upgrade, I guess?
We tried to make him a little meaner looking. His proportions are a little different, where he's a little taller, a little smaller head.
But, I don't see it. Is it actually different? There we go. The opening credits are full of little vignettes that are just repurposed shots from the Batman cartoon, and there's also half a dozen reused background extras from the older shows. Like this thug on the cruise ship is from that scene where Batman quits, and I'm pretty sure this news reporter is just a palette-swapped Johnny Cochran.
Who am I? I'm still Johnny Cochran with a knit cap.
Per a conversation we had with Alan Burnett a year into this YouTube channel existing, seriously, how the hell did we pull that off? Apparently, Kurt Gaeta just plain liked the TNBA Batman design the best, so that's why he went with it. But at the end of the Bat Day, we can always defer to the Prime Directive. Batman's costume doesn't matter. It switches back and forth all the time. All said and done, even the lens through which the feature is presented to us is not helpful. We do get this intriguing interaction between the Penguin and Bruce Wayne at the Iceberg Lounge.
It's been quite a while, hasn't it?
Yes. I believe the last time was when you stole plutonium from one of my labs and threatened to blow up the city.
My more rambunctious days.
But we never saw this happen in an episode or a comic or anything. This unseen plutonium dealio theoretically happened during Penguin's Danny DeVito era, since in the new Batman adventures,
I'm a legitimate businessman now.
But scrubbing through it all, Bruce and Penguin did interact in the episode Joker's Millions, so I don't know, it could be a continuity error, but it could just as easily have happened between here and the movie, and Penguin's just trying even harder now to be a legitimate businessman. Or Bruce forgot about this. Penguin certainly did. I certainly did. You certainly did. Either way, it doesn't help us place the movie either. Being familiar enough with the movie, I figured I'd turn my primary attention to the No Doubt Scholastic Book Fair freebie novelization and check for clues there first. But it only gives us a couple of very loose ones, like describing the 1960s as retro, or saying the early 1900s was nearly a century ago. I'd hoped this book would give me really anything to go off of, but wait, this was written by the co-creator of Steel? Around the iceberg and below the stage, the dancers were shaking their booties.
On behalf of the citizens of Los Angeles, I would like to apologize.
But then, oh then, there's Kaznia.
Gesundheit. That was a joke.
They were making arms for Kaznia.
The Kaznians will come after us like wolverines.
For a long time, the running theory among the DCAU fanbase was that Mystery of the Batwoman was more or less happening concurrently with the events of the Justice League episode Maid of Honor, which heavily featured Kaznia, a war-torn country rife with political turmoil and guns a-blazing. In fact, this episode aired on Cartoon Network just days apart from the release of the Batwoman movie. The hypothesis then was that after the Penguin's arms deal with Kaznia is foiled by Batfolks, it would unbalance the war even more so, leading to Kaznian terrorists stealing weapons in the Justice League episode, of which of course Batman was hot on the trail because he'd just been dealing with a related plot in his own city. And yeah, it's pretty fun to think of it that way, but this presumes that the people writing the movie and the people writing the TV show were having even a single conversation about narrative connectivity. And if you didn't just randomly skip to this part of the video, you know that they did not.
We just never talked about it.
People should communicate more.
The DC animated universe has never been relegated to taking place in the time period of its release. Bruce Timm will tell you until his dying breath that Batman the Animated Series has no time period. Batman Beyond and the Zeta Project happened 40 years from now, whenever now is. Kaznia was the focus of Maid of Honor, yes, but it was introduced as early as the first episode of Superman. Kaznia was still having issues decades later in the Beyond future. The Batwoman novel even tells us the place was steeped in years of ethnic strife. As far as Kaznia goes, it was the go-to DC Comics stand-in for a corrupt, nefarious country, so it's no surprise that both projects ended up using Kaznia. A nice coincidence, to be sure, but we don't go off vibes alone here at WDB. We fact check. I mean, come on. If the movie is during Justice League Season 2, then Cherie would have released Betcha Never like a year early inside the DCAU, and that's just crazy talk. What's more curious is this scene.
Hey, Barb. How's college?
Not bad, though the nightlife here can't compare with kicking butt as Batgirl.
Barbara Gordon is off at college? Why? She was in college the first time we ever met her back in BTAS, and years later, her official TNBA bio says she's just graduated college with honors in the field of computer science. So if nothing else, this just solidifies even harder that Mystery of the Batwoman isn't during the TV show, and it can't be after it if Barbara's still in college, right? So then it's before TNBA. That's it. This movie takes place between the original two Batman shows. Done and done. Ah, shit, this kid.
Don't drag me into this.
Tim Drake became Robin in the second episode of the new Batman Adventures. And if he's here, then obviously the Batwoman movie has to take place before, spoiler alert, the Joker fucks up his entire life and he can't be Robin anymore, which multiple creators have said will always happen after every other present-day event. By our meticulous neurospicy calculations, this is now a gap of 1999 to 2007. The novelization describes Tim as Batman's teenage partner, so anywhere between 13 and 19 years old. And since he's 13 when he becomes Robin in the first place, we've now closed that gap to 1999 to 2005. Years, numbers, good!
That's tight. What's it mean?
So as far as Robin goes, this Robin's a little older than he was when he was introduced in the series.
He's got a new, older-sounding voice actor, too. Now he's Hogarth from Iron Giant. His legs belong in this scene in the Batcave, so sure. And to be really nitpicky, Growth Spurt Boy is driving the Batboat in this scene.
How do they get a driver's license?
You gotta be at least 14 to do that in the state of New York, where DCAU Gotham be, so all of that has me bumping this up to at least 2000 to 2005. Oh, there's more. When Rocky helps Tim with the computer game, he says,
"Nobody at school can figure it out."
God, I miss actual CD-ROM games. I'm old! And we know
Spring break will be coming up soon.
So it's some springtime, 8th grade through senior year of high school for Timmy. Something of a narrowed down pinpoint, at least.
How are we on the timeline?
Within a reasonable margin.
SEO, Daredevil Born Again. All right, anyway, back to Barbara, because her being at university...
This doesn't make sense! On that we agree.
Maybe she's back for a second degree? In the Batman Adventures comic, she was studying to become the world's leading criminologist, and Dick Grayson even jokes that she wants to become Commissioner Gordon too.
I'm kind of psychic.
Maybe she never finished this criminology degree and went back. Mystery of the Batwoman can be after new Batman Adventures. It's absolutely fine.
Everyone wonders who the mysterious Batwoman could be. Batgirl grown up.
She's out getting her master's or something, bro. The fuck you mean? The real problem becomes the romance between Batman and Batgirl. I mean, for this timeline, not in general. That's a whole nother conversation.
As they say on the streets, I ain't touching that one.
I'll be back in Gotham for 2 whole weeks. Won't that be nice? 'Cause I thought you and I were, you know.
Batman Beyond insinuated this Bat-hookup was something that only happened after Nightwing left Gotham for its neighboring city of Bloodhaven.
Dick Grayson had left to establish himself in another city. He was hurt when I chose to stay behind with Bruce.
His girlfriend? Whoa.
If only we knew when that happened. I got you. We witnessed Nightwing departing for Bloodhaven in the 12th issue of the tie-in comic book series Batman Adventures Volume 2. Do we know what year's Batman Adventures takes place? Well, of course we do! It's during Justice League. It has to be after Season 1's Aquaman episode because Deadshot references those events, and it has to be before Plastic Man's name drop in JLU's Green Lantern episode, because here he's still gangster E.L. O'Brien from timeline videos of the past. That's between the end of the year 2000 and roughly May 2003. In order to decide where to go next, things unfortunately get rather muddy. Presidential races, mayoral elections, length of mayoral terms. Good lord, it's a mess. This timeline gets unraveled slowly but surely the more we look into it, but that's all you get this video because apparently it's all moot anyway. According to writer Dan Slott, this comic takes place after all the events of Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. In our minds, everything in BMOTB happens before Penguin ran for mayor. Batman's still in his new Batman Adventures style costume, as opposed to the JL Adventures costume we're using, and Bullock is still on the force. Okay, ignoring the Batsuit thing, like, Dan, I love you, but
it doesn't matter.
I ask you, What? Look, I know you at home probably aren't too familiar with this comic. You should change that. It's great. But Penguin became mayor in it and fired Detective Bullock. And in the Batwoman novel, Bullock's called Sergeant. So wouldn't it make sense that he'd have been brought back onto the force after Penguin wasn't mayor anymore and get promoted? Sonia Alcana is
Bullock's new partner.
And Renee Montoya, his old partner, is nowhere to be seen. Could have gotten promoted too, or changed precincts or whatever. She's off somewhere else. But fuck. In the actual movie, Harvey is still Detective Bullock like normal. Said out loud, written on TV, credited in the credits. Thanks, book. Screw you, book.
I had it all planned so perfectly.
What do you mean it's in the opposite order of what I thought? What about all of Bruce's girlfriends we see? Where's my goddamn Kathy Duquesne, Dan? You may ask, if BMOTB happened before Batman Adventures, then why wasn't Kathy mentioned in the roster of Bruce/Batman's Lost Loves in Batman Adventures Vol. Yes, I may ask. Good question, oh continuity-minded one. Let me walk you through that brain teaser. Oh, please do! They mention all the girls in chronological order. Zatanna, Andrea Beaumont, Selena Kyle, Talia, Lois Lane, and after Alfred mentions Poison Ivy's plant creature, the doorbell rings, interrupting their conversation. Logically, Kathy would have been the next girl on the list. Whew! How's that for an answer? I hate everything. Why are Batman and Batgirl fucking already if the movie is before Nightwing leaves? Did he leave right before Batman Adventures and then Batcest begins immediately? This is all absolutely insane and I'm actually losing my mind. Like, this is not a joke this time. I cannot focus at all anymore. My brain has lost all comprehension of mathematics, what little it had.
Well, that'll give you and your brat something to talk about in family therapy.
But after rewatching this same police station rooftop scene, there is something else that helps solve this timeline mystery.
Stuff's out of Star Trek. Maybe someone broke into a toy store.
These aren't toys, Bullock. This is a plasma rifle.
Plasma rifle. Why do I know that name? Ah, yes, of course, obviously, from the Gotham Museum of Armaments in the Batman Beyond episode Final Cut.
Oh, you don't see it?
Right there! Wait! Right there! Coincidence? I think not.
The motherfucking plasma rifle, dated 2005. So, Batman Mystery of the Batwoman takes place in 2005 when the plasma rifle is first invented, just before spring break of Tim Drake's senior year of high school. Cue the applause button. Cue the applause button. Anytime.
And you know what? It almost worked.
Shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't just pull that plasma rifle right out of my ass. This is actually the conclusion we came to last time. Yeah, we did a version of this video
7 years ago, this very night.
Well, not exactly to the day, but hey, when else am I gonna have a chance to use that clip? You see, everybody and their grandma was telling us for years that they disagreed with that answer. The plasma rifle date didn't mean a thing. It doesn't even look like the same weapon, for one.
Now there are two of them.
Plasma rifle is such a generic sci-fi technobabble name, it might as well have been laser pistol or shooty big energy gun 69. The Batman Beyond one could have been a model of plasma rifle from a different year, or maybe even the museum itself got the date wrong, or the date isn't even applicable.
I'm sorry, but your terms are not acceptable.
The fact that the police are so stunned by the stuff out of Star Trek leads me to believe this type of weaponry is still very new. Nobody else in the movie uses anything but normal-ass guns, or acid-filled umbrellas, but that's not the point. The 2005 date on the one in the museum could be when the plasma rifle is introduced publicly, while our old pal the military-industrial complex was aware of them as early as 2003. I concede. But you're telling me we've lost our one viable answer to the DCAU placement of this movie? We spent forever figuring that out. We even joked a while back about how that'd mean it technically happens during Justice League versus the Fatal Five, like inside that movie. You could pause it after Batman knocks out Naked Starboy, watch all of Batwoman, and then come back for the rest. It was foolproof, but we were the fools. Fools to think it could all be that easy, right? There's got to be a way to get a clear, definite answer. They were right next door to the Justice League crew. They couldn't have at least talked to them? Knock, knock, let's work together on this. Let's not melt the brain of a 34-year-old man 20 years from now. That would be ideal. In the book, Batman notices some of Kathy's sketches have dates, but of course that isn't true in the movie. He guesses Kathy is 10 years old in this painting, but that doesn't help me. It's not like we know when she was born. Wait, we don't know when she was born, do we? Kathy is in her early 20s. Okay. Rocky wasn't yet 25 years old. Damn it, come on, that's not good enough! Wait.
Oh my God.
What is it?
I know who Daddy is.
It's this person right here who won our latest giveaway. We left a reply to your original comment, so go check that out for more info. This is the next giveaway. Ooh, ah. Enter by leaving a comment below answering our question of the day from the end of this video. Okay, so guess what? We get ages and birth dates for 2 of the Batwoman suspects in this movie, right there on the Bat computer. Kathy Duquesne was born April 23rd, 1981, and is 22 years old. Rocky Ballantyne was born September 11th, 1982, and is 20 years old. Rocky wasn't yet 25?
Yeah, I sure hope it does.
Has this seriously been here the whole time? Let me pull up the DVD version we were using before. Oh, yeah, no way we could have read that 7 years ago. I'll give us an out. But regardless,
the truth must be told.
At this point, it's super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Add the Batwomen's ages to their birth years. Bada boom, bada bing, bada woman. We're in spring 2003. Well, really after April 23rd and before September 11th. But spring break is coming up soon, don't you know? New York State's spring break is typically mid-April, but if we're pushing back Betcha Never anyway, we can push forward spring break. Make those MTV beachgoers wait. It's late April 2003, baby! Wow, Rocky became a world-class metallurgist for Wayne Tech, and Sonia became a police detective, both by age 20? That is astounding, but okay. There is a little bit of a hiccup because security camera footage that Batman was looking at from supposedly 2 nights ago is dated 2/23/02 or 01. I don't know, I can't quite tell. It's real small, but whatever it is, it doesn't make any sense with the rest, and I've just got to tell myself the camera's clock is off because, hey, half the electronics I own have inaccurate clocks, and even though it's fucking Wayne Enterprises, I can't be dealing with this right now. I figured it out, damn it, leave me alone. But hey, we did it. We have the year and season and month and basically handful of days that Mystery of the Batwoman happens. No longer a mystery. But
whoop-de-doo, what does it all mean?
Give me context, you say. When the fuck do I watch this? Well, my friend, in the greater DCAU timeline, spring 2003 is during Justice League Unlimited. That show runs from the DCAU's mid-2002 to spring 2004.
You'd have to be Supergirl to stand a chance against its goons.
Supergirl being public knowledge helps solidify this, as she was otherwise stuck on a farm in Kansas until being a member of the League. Well, except for when she blew a hole in the roof of the Gotham Mall a couple years earlier. Did she ever pay for this? Let's do a whole video about that. You want specific episodes? Our buddy Yojimbo from DCAU Resource puts the movie right after the Doomsday Sanction. Sure, that ends with Bruce Wayne severely mangled by a missile explosion, so he'd have to recover pretty quickly. But the very next episode is Task Force X, and
didn't have to drop the kids at school. Memorial Day.
Batman does groan and grab his chest a shit ton while fighting Bane, and the book even specifies he's broken some ribs. That doesn't mean this episode placement is wrong, it just sucks ass for Batman.
Gotta have them ribs. And pussy too.
But yeah, watch Batman Mystery of the Batwoman between Doomsday Sanction and Task Force X. Yojimbo, you've convinced me yet again.
He has a way with words.
Too bad it couldn't be just slightly later and happen around Double Date, because Barbara Gordon near a clock tower, 3 women crime fighters, birds of prey, something. Oh, and that Catwoman short that played after the movie, like Shrek Karaoke, do I know where it fits in the timeline?
Don't count on it! Aww!
It's literally Batman and Catwoman fighting for like 6 minutes. It's whenever. Did it even happen at all? Was it just Bruce Wayne daydreaming at a boring party? May you never watch Chase Me the same way again. For a subject we've already covered, parenthesis, incorrectly, close parenthesis.
Hey, don't beat yourself up. You were just starting out, remember?
Mystery of the Batwoman's watch order placement gave us quite the run for our money twice. If we're right this time, and I hope to God that we are, then the movie truly is after Batman Adventures. So I don't know, Dan Slott and Ty Templeton, I'm just using what's available to me. The calculator is mightier than the sword, or whatever the saying is. Next time you guys are at a Comic-Con near me,
why don't you float on in and we'll discuss it.
Now you know when to pop out the JLU DVD and pop this one in. Is that gonna be confusing? Absolutely not. Batwoman never shows up ever again. But you're still here. here, and that means you care. You give a shit about Batman Mystery of the Batwoman, and you should. It fits splendidly, after all, and it's a good movie, actually. Maybe that's the sensationalized YouTube video title right there.
For a computer geek, you're pretty smart.
Our question of the day comes to you from Serum Lake, who asks, how would you have liked Batwoman to be brought back in the DCAU? Leave your answer in the comments for a chance to win our giveaway next video, and join our Patreon to submit a question of the day. Thank you to all our lovely patrons listed here, to Incogni once again for sponsoring, and to you, as always, for being you.
I knew sooner or later we would face each other, Batman. I prayed for it.
Yeah, that's probably because the only times Bane ever fought Batman in TNBA was once in a dream and once where it was actually Superman.
Should have saved some of those prayers.